Okay, I'm going to go over how to do these problems on this worksheet for you. If you're doing this, make sure that you go and try these first and then look at this. You might want to watch this one just to make sure that you know what's going on with it, and then go and try the other ones for sure on your own. So for this one, I'm going to draw a triangle ABC just so that I have my numbers out there and I've got them kind of figured out which one goes with what vertex. You can decide, it doesn't have to be to scale, you just kind of label the triangle like I've done right here. So what we want to do is we want to figure out the equation of CK if CK is a median of triangle ABC. So if it's a median, that means that it's a line that goes from one vertex to the midpoint of another side. This one starts at C and K is the other point with it. So here's C, and then K would have to be a midpoint here. And we don't know the coordinate of that, so that's always the first thing. We want the equation of this line, CK. So the first step with all of these usually is to find the midpoint, coordinate point. So to do that, we want to find the coordinate point for K. We want the x and y value. So we're going to use the midpoint formula, which is x1 plus x2 divided by 2. And then you're going to average the y's. And we're going to do that for A and B. Okay, so it's going to be, this is going to be our x1. This is the y1. This is x2. This is the y2 for the midpoint formula. So if I continue on, this becomes x1 is 2, x2 is 12, divided by 2. And then for the y values, x1 is 5, y2 is -1, and then we divide by 2. So that's going to be 14 divided by 2, which is 7. 5 plus 1 is 4, divided by 2 is 2. So if you remember, this was the midpoint K, which was the midpoint of AB. So now we know K. K is 7, 2. Okay, so from here then we want to find the equation of that line. So now we've got 7, 2 and -6, 8. So the next thing we need to do, if we're figuring out the equation of the line, is to find the slope of CK. So that's going to be the slope formula. So for this one, I'm going to list these right here because this will be a new x1 and new y2. Or x1, y2, sorry, x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay, so I'll even change the color so you know this is a different, completely different x2, x1, y2, y1. Okay, so this is my x1, this is my y1, this is my x2, this is my y2. So if I plug those into the slope formula, and again, this was K and C, because that's what we're trying to find the slope of. So this will be 8 minus 2 over -6 minus 7. And that will equal 6 over -13. Lovely number, huh? Okay, so the last thing that we have to do on this one is we have to find the equation of the line. So first we found the midpoint, then we found the slope of CK, then we find the equation. So now we'll use y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So that's going to be the slope formula. So now we have to decide what we're going to use for m and what we're going to use for x1 and y1. So I'm going to change colors again. So we are using, I don't know, we'll use pink. Okay, so the slope of this is 6, negative 13. So 6 over negative 13. And then our y1, y2, this is for the line CK, so we can choose either 7, 2, or we can choose negative 6, 8. So I'm just going to choose 7, 2 because it has no negatives. So my slope I'm using is 6, negative 13. The point that I'm going to use that's on the line is that one. So now this equation becomes y minus 2 equals 6 over negative 13 times x minus 7. And it didn't say the form, so we could really stop there if we wanted to, or you could continue on and simplify it into something else. But I'm just going to stop there just to save time on this video. And there it is. Okay, tired yet? Because here goes one more. So triangle TRC has vertices 3, 6. So I'll draw again another triangle. TRE 3, 6, negative 3, 10, and negative 9, 4. Okay, the slope of the perpendicular bisector of TR. So if this is a bisector, it's going to cut this in half, and it's going to be perpendicular. That's the only requirement. Oh, sorry. Okay, so it cuts that in half and it's perpendicular. So that would be a perpendicular bisector. So if we want to know the slope of the perpendicular bisector, that is perpendicular to TR. So if we know the slope of TR, we just do the opposite reciprocal. So let's find the slope of TR. That's going to be 10 minus 6 over negative 3 minus 3, which is 4 over negative 6, which is negative 2/3. Therefore, the slope of the perpendicular bisector is going to be 3 over 2. Okay, what point does the perpendicular bisector pass through? Well, it's right here. We'll just call that M. So M equals negative 3 plus 3 over 2. And we're going to add the y values and divide by 2. So that's going to be 10 plus 6 divided by 2. So that becomes 0, 8. Okay, that again was this and this averaged together. Okay, the equation for the perpendicular bisector, so we'll put this at 0, 8. That's the next thing. This time we don't know the other endpoint of this, because remember, perpendicular bisectors have to be perpendicular to the line and bisect it. But we do know that there's a point 0, 8 that it goes through. And we do know the slope, it's that perpendicular slope we got up above. And if you pay attention to this, this is the y-intercept. Or you could put it in point slope formula and figure it out. But this is y equals 3/2 x plus 8. There it is. So just to recap what we did, we found the midpoint, we found the slope, and we found the equation. Okay, that's the process here. But first you had to know what a median was. You had to know that it splits a side. Okay, and then this one, midpoint, slope, and then the equation. So we found the midpoint coordinate point, but again, you had to know that an altitude is 90 degrees, and it goes through the vertex. Okay, that's the key. All right, and then number three was similar, but this time it was a perpendicular bisector, meaning that it bisected, but it didn't go through another vertex, right? So you also had to know this perpendicular relationship, and then you had to use the midpoint formula again. So this is midpoint. So same pattern, slope, midpoint, and then equation. Okay, the other side will go in another video.